Hi everybody, Anita Lund here from Trainers Direct. Welcome to this short tutorial where I'm going to share with you our favourite top 10 Excel tips and tricks as voted by our users. So let's dive in. Tip number 1, if you want to copy a formula down a column, the fastest way to do it, providing there are no blank cells in between the data, is to rest on the corner of the cell and double click. This will copy as far as there is data immediately to the left. Much faster than click and drag or copy and paste. Tip number 2. If you want to check the formulas on a worksheet, the easiest way to do this without clicking onto each individual cell and then checking the formula bar at the top is to show the formulas. So 2 quick ways that you can do this. Either head across onto the Formulas tab on the ribbon and select the Show Formulas button. This toggles the display on and off. So 1 click displays the formulas and then a 2nd click turns that off. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut key, which is Control in the bottom left corner. And then a bit of a strange key here, it's called the tilde. It looks like a little S shape or a squiggle on its side, and that can be found immediately to the left of the number 1 key and below the escape key. It's in the top left corner. So Control and tilde will do exactly the same thing. So very useful for checking the integrity of your formulas. Tip number 3, using absolute cells in formulas. If I enter a formula into column F that calculates the total stock value multiplied by 9%, which is the margin, if I type the 9% into the cell and I copy the formula down, that's great, it calculates the 9%, but then if I want to change the 9%, I have to do so at the top and then recalculate for the remainder of the column. So what I'm going to do instead is refer to the margin in cell B10. So I click onto the 9% in the cell, but then to stop this cell from being recalculated when it's copied down the column, we use the shortcut key F4, which inserts 2 dollar signs into the active cell reference. When we copy that formula down the column, and I'm going to switch to the formula view, so I head up onto Show Formulas. You can see right here that by using the F4 key, we've made cell B10 an absolute or a static reference in that formula. So rather than it recalculating the reference when it's copied down the column, it's remained static. That then makes it very easy for me to modify the margin in cell B10. So if I make that 11%, we can see all the margin values being recalculated in column F. Tip 4, in this next example, I'm going to create 2 charts. The first thing that I need to do is to select the data and the corresponding labels. So you can see I've selected the column and the row labels. I then use the shortcut key on the keyboard, which is F11. This creates a chart sheet, which is separate to the data in sheet 1. If I head back to sheet 1, I can create another chart, this time, slightly different example, where I want to compare the quantity in stock with the stock take values in column E. And what I'm doing here, I'm holding down the Control key, which allows me to select non-adjacent ranges. Again, I use F11. I now have a second chart sheet. And notice that when you're on a chart sheet, you will see 2 extra tabs appearing, 2 contextual tabs at the end of the ribbon. So on the chart design, I have the option to change the chart type. I can select from different styles. I can add chart elements. So lots of different options here, which will allow you to change the format of the chart. 5, quickly copy a sheet within the same workbook. Rest on the Sheet tab, hold down the Control key on the keyboard and simply drag and drop. This will create an identical copy. It will also preserve page setup options, column widths, absolutely everything about the whole sheet. As you can see here, I've renamed this one May. Tip 6, use a shortcut key to total a column or a range of cells. In this example, I want to very quickly sum the quantity in stock column. So I position the active cell, in this case in B9, and I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Alt equals. The Alt key can be found immediately to the left of the spacebar. Alt equals, in this case, picks up all of the cells immediately above the formula cell. I can check the range and simply press Enter. Now, another example of Alt equals is where you may wish to select several ranges of cells. So here I've selected the first three, and then I enter a comma, and then I can select more ranges like this. So just simply enter a comma to separate the ranges, and you can see they're very conveniently color-coded as well. And then enter to finish off. Tip 7, replace unwanted characters. So let's take the example of the descriptions in column A. As you can see, at the end of each description, we have a comma, and I want to replace the comma with a blank. Now, to do this, I use the Find and Replace option, but the first thing that I want to do is highlight the cells that contain the commas. Now, if I didn't highlight the cells, Excel would replace all instances of the comma. So the reason why I'm doing this is because there might be certain formulas in this spreadsheet which contain commas, and I don't want those to be affected. So I'm highlighting these first, and then Control H, which we said was the shortcut key for Find Replace. So in the Find What, we enter a comma, and in the Replace With, it's just a blank. And then hit the Replace All. It's telling me I've got 6 replacements there. And as you can see, the commas are nowhere to be seen. Number 8, selecting and navigating in Excel. Excel spreadsheets can be huge. If you have a very large spreadsheet, it can be in excess of 1 million lines. So that's pretty big. So some quick keys for moving around on a spreadsheet. The first one, Control Home. This will always take you to the top. So on the keyboard, hold down Control, bottom left corner, and then if you can find the Home key, press that at the same time, that will take you to the top, and Control End will take you to the end. Control G is the shortcut key for Go To, and we can enter a cell reference in here. So H600, and then Enter will take me right there. We can also use shortcuts for selecting data. Control A is select all. If I position my active cell in A2, I can use a combination of Control Shift and the arrow keys. So I'm holding down Control and Shift. The right arrow key will select to the end of the row containing the last populated cell. Control Shift and down arrow will select down until it hits a blank. And these shortcuts can also be used when we're building formulas. So if I add an average formula in here, I click on the first cell, I press Control Shift down, it takes me down to the very bottom cell in the column. Now, if I want to deselect the last cell, here's another tip. I can hold down Shift and then tap the up arrow key, and that will decrease the selection. Very useful if you're working with long data sets, and then Enter. Tip 9, using Control G to Go To. The Control G shortcut key allows us to navigate to any cell on the worksheet. But what it also gives us the ability to do is to go to various other locations as well. Now I've just hit the special option, so I want to show you a couple of examples here of where you might want to use Go to Special. In the first example, I'm going to select conditional formats. So I want Excel to highlight all of the cells on the worksheet that have conditional formats applied to them. If I select OK, I can see straight away that these 4 cells right here have conditional formatting applied. In another example, if we take a look at the row numbers along the left-hand side of the worksheet, you'll see that it jumps from 3 to 5 and then from 6 to 8, which suggests that there are hidden rows on the worksheet. Now, what happens if you try to copy and paste this information onto another sheet? It will also paste the hidden rows as well. So how do we copy and paste just what we see? Well, again, if I press Ctrl-G and I say go to Special, I can tell Excel to select only the visible cells only and then select OK. That will then allow me to copy, create a new sheet, and then paste. Perfect. And finally, tip 10, start a new line in the same cell. As you can see, some of the headings on this worksheet are pretty long. So what I want to do is wrap the text using a shortcut key. So I'm going to press F2 to edit this cell. I can also double click. I'm going to click where I want to wrap, so immediately before the word value, and then use the shortcut key Alt Enter, and then click off. And then we'll repeat that in the last column. So again, F2 is the shortcut to edit, position the cursor where we want to wrap, and then Alt Enter, and then click off. If we were typing in a heading from scratch, then we could do that as we type as well, rather than going in and editing after. So let's do an example here. If I type net, Alt Enter, pay, and then enter, you can see that has the same effect. Thanks for watching.